Good morning. I'm actually a bit not stuck with the story, but questioning my design of the story. So I'm thinking in my head if I'm taking the right path or if doing a past timeline and a present timeline might bore the reader. Also, I hope you can't hear my music. Let me turn it down a bit. Just in case. It's cold. And also, I've been painting a coop, interior coop for my wife for the chickens, and I may or may not have accidentally got paint on my hair that I have not washed out yet. So that may or may not be the reason why I'm also wearing the beanie, but mostly it's because I'm freaking cold. I could turn on the heat, but I'm trying to stick it out till November. Or if the temperature drops to highs of 50, then I will turn the heat on. I do have a space heater under my desk. I'm just not turning that on yet. Actually, you know what? Let me turn it on. What am I doing? I can just easily flip this switch. Warm up my toes at least. I mean, don't get me wrong. I prefer the freezing temperatures to the hot sweltering temperatures. So, but I tend to always run cold anyway. So I have a heated blanket in every room that I hang out in. It's except for my office, but in bed I have a electric blanket, and in the living room I have an electric blanket, so I can always wrap myself in it and get and stay nice and warm. Okay, so this chapter is when my main character hears about, for the first time, he hears about a skinwalker through a story that the elder, the head elder of his tribe, tells them. And so this is going to be like a not too long, but a pretty long chapter because he's remembering this specific evening. And then while it's written in first person, it's going to shift slightly once the elder begins to tell the story because I think I might put it all in italics just to um, give it some sort of separation so that the reader understands like this is now a story that you would read like in a book. And the story that she tells is going to be pretty significant because one, she won't use any actual names, which typically she would. She would reveal the name of the warrior or whomever is the hero of the story. In this case, she's not going to reveal the hero's name, but she is going to reveal the hero's gender, which is going to be very important because in his tribe, women are the warriors, the fighters, the defenders, and the men are simply the the labor. You know, like four men carried the chief's large chair with her seated in it and placed it down beside the fire. The men are the ones who carry the weapons for the women when they're if they should ever have to go to battle. The men are the ones who carry the kills of the animals whenever the hunters, which are also women, go out and hunt for food for the tribe. So you know, the men are the ones who pull the wagons, the men are the ones who they go out and, you know, chop down trees. They're used for their brute strength, but not for basically their brains. All of the elders, there are five elders and the chief, all women. The only male in the tribe who has any sort of clout or not really power, but he is held in high esteem is their shaman. However, he's not 100% human. He's actually a goblin. So that's not the trade-off, but that's the only place where a male is in that regard, held in that regard, because their shaman could easily have been a woman, a female goblin. The shaman is always a goblin, regardless of the gender. They always employ a goblin to be in that role. And the role is pretty vast in what the shaman is expected to do. And the reason why they always will employ a goblin is because goblins live for hundreds of years. And this helps for historical reasons. So, this specific generation that my main character was born into made for a lot of shifts and changes with how the tribe operates. One of the main things is that this particular elder wanted to have the stories that she told written down. That's never happened before in the history of the tribe's existence. The storytelling has always been word of mouth. So, you know, you were not only told the story, but you had to retain the important elements of the story so that if you became the head elder, you would know it verbatim and be able to recite it. Obviously, this would lead to certain biases and little shifts and changes within the real truth and meat of the story, which is why this particular elder, Elder Cloud, when she became the head elder through a voting system, then she decided we need to write this stuff down, and so and she was also the one who made the suggestion that their shaman be a species that would outlive them and several generations of them, so that they can impart the historical changes and knowledge onto the next generation of elders or the next chief or whoever the case may be. That could be the person they can lean on, because they will have been there through, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 different chiefs. So they will know how the changes went, if they were positive or negative or whatever the case may be. Because, like I said, in my world here, in my fantasy, goblins live. The oldest goblin on record, I think, lived to be like a little over 300 years old. And this particular goblin, who was employed by them, happened to be a raging alcoholic, which most goblins are. They are known for two things. One is cheating and gambling. The second is being raging alcoholics, and and because of that, that actually shortens their lifespan. So while goblins can live for hundreds of years, they typically die between the ages of like 150 and 200, and it's usually because they drink themselves to death, unfortunately. And so when they found this particular goblin, he Tox, his name is Tox, and I named him Tox, like intoxicated. So his name is Tox, and he was found in the nearby village in their tavern. He practically, you know, lived there and was just an absolute lush, and he would gamble all the time. They're also really great thieves, and so that's how they're able to afford all the alcohol and to continue gambling, is because a lot of the times they will steal in order to they will either steal money or they will steal goods and then sell them so they can have money. So they're always with money, dressed lavishly, drinking and gambling. That's the goblin lifestyle, male and female. But anyway, they found him in this tavern, and I don't want to say they kidnapped him, but they made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And so he's been their shaman for quite some time now already. And so he's now has, you know, the privilege of writing down and being almost like the secretary, if you will, taking the minutes or writing down the stories that now Elder Cloud tells every night. And every night this tribe is told a story. There is never a night that a story is not given. There will be, though, because something's going to happen one night and it's going to really flip the script. And when a story should be told, something else happens. And it becomes almost like a climax, but not the climax of the story, but it will be a climactic moment. But I wanted to, in the past timeline and in the present timeline, sort of give the reader an idea of what the two different worlds are like. In the present timeline, you know, our main character is working or owns a tavern, and, you know, he's got two kids. He's also the caretaker or the guardian of a third older child, you know, and, you know, that sort of thing. And he also is like the leader of this group that has formed in order to, you know, get rid of evil. And then in the past timeline, he's a teenager, he's curious, he has a pet snake by the name of Kota, that's a pet rattlesnake, and she's gonna play a huge role in this for him and with him. And we get to find out a little bit about, one, how his tribe works, and two, his relationship with the way the tribe works, such as the fact that his lot in life is basically to either be a gatherer or a laborer, and he wants to be neither. He wants to be a hunter or a warrior, but he can't in his tribe. Only the women are, such as the fact that he is friends with Tox, and that gives him a perspective that none of the other, you know, males his age would have, because as a punishment he was sent to work with Tox, and it actually had a positive effect. It didn't have the effect that his mother thought it would have, which was that it would be a chore and he would hate it, and so he would stop doing the thing that caused him to be punished in this way. But it did open him up to the idea that he doesn't have to stay the within the rules of his tribe, because Tox, being a male, he's afforded certain respect, certain levels of authority that none of the other men are afforded. However, he's not an actual member of the tribe, right? He's a goblin. He's in many ways hired by them to do a job, but Son of River sees this and he's like, well, how come this guy, gets to write down the stories, gets to, be the keeper of all of their spells and treatments and ointments and things. He gets to leave the mountain and go down into the village. Whenever they need something, he's the one that they send as like a representation of them. And, there's so many things that he's able to just walk around and do that either none of the other tribe members are able to do, and especially none of the men in the tribe are able to do. So in any event, this particular chapter is going to tell this story about a man who encounters and defeats a skinwalker. And again, like I said, the elder intentionally doesn't reveal the name of this former member of their tribe, who, like I said, encountered and killed a skinwalker, but it's kind of like a moment for the entire tribe, because a male would never be in a situation where they would have to fight or pick up arms or even know how to defend themselves, because they are not trained in how to use weapons, etc., etc. So how did this guy end up with that knowledge? One, who is that guy? Two, and oh my god, what is a skinwalker? Three. Like, those are the three main questions that my main character has as he's listening to this story. Two of those questions get answered, sort of. Actually, one of those questions get answered, such as what is a skinwalker. The other two of like, how did this guy end up even knowing how to defend his or herself, so to the degree of killing a skinwalker. And two, who is this guy? Those two questions are not answered in this story. The only one that's answered is what a skinwalker is and the danger that comes from it. And so this is the first time, and there's a specific reason why this story is even told this particular night, and it's because, unbeknownst to the main character, they believe that there is a skinwalker amongst them. And so the best way that the tribe knows, or the elders came together and said, this is how we're going to both inform and make the tribe reticent and visually observing of what's going on in their surroundings, is to tell it through a story, which is how a lot of morality and things were taught to children and adults in the past, is through storytelling. So if you wanted your child to eat their vegetables, or you wanted them to behave so that, they got presents from Santa Claus, all of these types of things were done through storytelling. You tell them a story, and that story has a moral or a lesson to it. And in this case, the moral or lesson that they're going to try to teach is not so much that a guy from their tribe defeated a skinwalker, but the lesson is, you don't want to be alone ever at night or in the daytime when you're, traveling or walking, anywhere outside of the tribe grounds, and these types of things, in order to protect yourself against the possibility of an encounter with a skinwalker. So that's really what the story is supposed to convey. So I have to actually, and I have it already on the left hand side where you see here folklore is basically I have to write these stories, which are going to be between 500 and 750 words, and it's going to be kind of like the journal or the ledger that Tox is keeping of all the stories that have been recited by Elder Cloud already. So I want to have like a bunch of them in my back pocket because I want there to be moments throughout the trilogy where either Son of River himself recalls, recounts, and tells a story that he heard Elder Cloud say, or it's read in a book. Whatever the case may be, there will be moments throughout where a folklore that was told is brought up in the story. So I want to be able to use them, and the first one is going to be this one that he hears that night, and that Tox is furiously writing down because that is his job. But so I've already started to say, like, these are lists of stories that I want to do. Some stories about skinwalkers, wendigos. There's going to be a bunch about wildebeests. There are going to be some wolverines, different kinds of creatures. And then I need to do not only a list of creatures to tell stories about, but a list of possible lessons that the stories about these different creatures will teach. So I want to have like maybe 30 stories, 30 folklore stories. They're going to be in very much like Aesop's Fables or something like that. But I want to have like somewhere between 20 and 30 of them, possibly to be able to put them in an actual collection journal, ledger type thing, or just for my own purposes to be able to pull out and inject into the story as I go along. But at some point, I am going to have to be writing this stuff. And that's going to be fun times. But I have 1,000 words right now. I'm pretty good with that. I'm really like not in a writing mood, unfortunately. I really was hoping that I would be because I have a lot to write. But I can feel my mind is wavering, and those are moments that I don't want to write because I'm worried that if I do, I'm going to be forcing it, and then when I go back during the red pen edits, that'll be like entire pages that I'm just Xing out because it's like, what is this crap that I wrote? This makes no sense. So before I get to that point, which I feel like I'm getting there, and this is a really important moment in the story when she tells the story of a skinwalker, I'm just going to stop here. I don't really have anything else on my docket that I need to do, which is good because I'm on vacation, and so I shouldn't have like too many things on my to-do list. I do have to work on the Book Funnel and Story Origin app 201 thing, but I'm going to work on that this weekend. On Saturday. I'm not going to stress about doing it today or tomorrow, but tomorrow I will be on again. It'll be in the afternoon, and I will be working on writing my Friday fiction story, which I already have the image. It's called Haywire. I don't know what it's going to be about yet till I actually write the thing, but I am going to hopefully stream myself writing that tomorrow. And shockingly, it's going to be October 15th tomorrow, which means the winners of the LeVar Burton Reads Writing Contest will be announced tomorrow. And I fully expect not to be named as one, which means on Saturday, depending on what my schedule is on Saturday, I have to discuss it with my wife, but I had already planned that on Saturday I would be reading my submission to the contest during a special stream on my stream. So hopefully that will still happen on Saturday. I think we have plans to go to a festival happening. So depending on what time we decide to go to that festival, I may or may not be able to actually do that thing on Saturday, but fingers crossed that I will be, because I've had that like pre-scheduled on my YouTube channel for like months now. So I would hate to have it there for months and then it's like, oh snap, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, so the winners will be announced tomorrow. I'm gonna see where the heck that will be announced, and hopefully get to read the winners' stories, and look forward to hearing LeVar Burton reading the winner's story. That'll be pretty cool. But in the meantime, enjoy your Thursday. Tonight's Thursday Night Football, so that's what I'll be doing tonight. And I'm going to take the next like 2 hours to just kind of maybe watch a TV show or something and relax before I have lunch, and then go back to painting outside. So that's going to be the remainder of my Thursday. Whatever your Thursday happens to be, I hope it's a great one. I hope you enjoy it. And I will be back on Friday, tomorrow. You'll see me tomorrow at some point throughout the day where I will be writing my Friday fiction, the 10th or 11th one, I think, of me returning to writing them. So